What's today? Today is September 14th, 2022. It's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you. So today we are going to talk about how you can spend less time getting more stuff done. So we all have busy schedules. Some of us work. Some of us have families. We have hobbies. Maybe we do land investing to make a little money so we can actually do what our bigger calling is. No matter what it is, we have limited time. Nobody also lives forever. So you got to be able to do more with less when it comes to your time management. Because let's be honest, most of us, I mean, there's a few people out there who really love the whole land investing business and everything about it. But most of us, we do this so we can get our time back. We'll do a little bit of land investing compared to our 40-hour-a-week job, and then have a lot more money coming in, or maybe the same amount depending on your job and how hard you work at it, and this, that, and the third. But we have more time for the things that we do want to do with our lives. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can kind of organize your time, because let's be honest, I don't know who said this. Maybe it was Frank Kern or somebody, but they said if time management is really self-management. And if you can't manage yourself, then you don't really have a business, because nothing will get done in a way that will be repeatable or sustainable. All right, so as always, just make sure you can hear me and see me okay. I think today is going to be short because I'm kind of short on time. That's why we're starting a little bit early. But in a nutshell, the whole reason I thought about this, and this is not the first time I talked about this, but every now and then I gotta like to remind you guys, I hated when I was working and working as a full-time job and being a land investor part-time, when people would call me on the phone and I couldn't get to it because I was at work or in a meeting or just some reason why I couldn't do it, or just couldn't find the time or space to have that private conversation. I hated being on the phone with somebody and they're asking me, questions like, why do I want to buy their property, things of that nature. And we're looking to negotiate a price for their property. And because I wasn't in front of a computer or anything like that, I didn't have the ability to actually know what I was negotiating on. I hated going out there and feeling stressed because I felt that some detail is falling through the crack, and I was forgetting something. I just wasn't sure what it was. It just really bugged me. And honestly, and you can probably relate, this is why you might be feeling stressed as well. Not because there's a lot of stuff to do, but because you feel that there's a lot of details that are falling between the cracks and you're losing track of them and you're forgetting something. It's kind of like that feeling that you left your house and you're like, shit, did I turn off the oven? Did I close the garage door? Is that window wide open? And when I come back, the house is going to be flooded with, rainwater, whatever it is. It's kind of like that, but maybe worse, depending on your personality. So allow me to help you get rid of that "did I leave the stove on" feeling, and replace it with that certainty that things are being handled properly, and that you can actually just kind of get on with the rest of your life, knowing that you're going to be able to take advantage of any deals that come your way, and any sales that are coming your way, you're going to be able to, manage that. So without further ado, let's get started. So in this, I want you to start to write things down, or maybe kind of think to yourself if you're kind of listening to this later and you're not watching the video. But the first thing that you have to do is understand where your time inefficiencies lie. So for me, it was actually looking at, okay, I spent most of my time answering calls, going to the post office, going to the bank, and getting things notarized. So what I want you to do right now is figure out, just take a second. What do you spend the most time doing that actually takes the most of your time? Now, if you don't know, that means take a week during this business. Hopefully you're consistent with what you do, and actually track out how long you do certain tasks. Now, there's times where you think a certain task takes longer than it does. It's probably because you just hate doing it. And that might be a reason to consider as well. And other times you might underestimate how much time it takes to do something because you just weren't paying attention. Maybe you love it. I don't know. All right, so take a minute, see what takes up the most time for you in the current way you run your business. All right, you got it? Okay, good. Now, in my case, a lot of the things that I thought about doing, I was like, all right, I have 2 to 3 options. One option, hire a person to do some of those things like answering phones and things of that nature. The second option was to figure out certain systems to kind of where I don't have to do it, but the quote unquote system does it. And that doesn't necessarily mean automation. It doesn't necessarily mean having a computer or a robot do it, but just the way you handle things. So again, things don't get lost in the cracks. And then third, you can kind of just not do it at all and, kind of change the way you do business. All right. So think about that for a moment. What do you think would be best for you? Okay. Good. So let's go into first hiring a person. Now, there are pros and cons, right? Now, hiring a person or a team is going to be great for scaling, right? No matter how good or how efficient you are with your time, there's only one of you. And the more deals that come in, that's more of your attention that's going to be needed. Even if you're really good at, divvying up your time and being efficient with your time, it's still time. And that's the one thing that we can't buy back. So if you're looking to scale, having other people come in to help you out is like the oldest way, like in human history, human capital. Next, when you are hiring somebody, there's a good chance that you can actually hire someone that's better than you at the thing that you're hiring for. So let's say you're pretty decent at sales, but you're hiring a salesperson. You're not going to hire someone that's going to be crappier than you. At least I hope not. Your ego shouldn't be that fragile where you're like, this guy can't be better than me because he might actually run away and do his own land business. No, nobody wants to open their own business. We're very weird people that wants to do their own business. Most people rather work for somebody for the guaranteed check. But the point is, if you do hire somebody, you probably want someone that can be better than you at sales. So if you're closing at a 20% rate, meaning for every 10 people you talk to on the phone, 2 people agree to buy something from you, maybe hiring a professional, maybe they're closing at a 50% rate. So that's a lot more sales. That's a lot more money. Another thing to think about, it may cost some money, but there's a good chance that you'll be gaining more money in the long term, even in the medium and short term as well. Because again, it's not just you doing the work. So a lot more things get taken care of. And that's just more opportunity for more business. Now, what are some of the downsides to hiring out? Well, it does cost money. Now, if you're not at a place where you can actually hire anybody right now, that's going to be tough for you to pay somebody, especially if you don't have much to pay them. And most people don't want to work for equity. You can't pay your rent or whatever with equity in your company or freebies or whatever like that. People need money. Second, if there's not enough action, so to speak, for that person to come in and actually do whatever you hire them for, well, they're going to get bored, they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to leave. And that's going to take time. Another downside, it's not really a downside, it's kind of the cost of doing business, but some people see it as a negative. Training. You got to be very good at training people. And it's going to be time in that ramp up period when they're learning the trade or learning your business, learning how you like to do things. They're going to make mistakes. And it's going to be times you're going to be tempted to be like, no, man, if I would have done this myself, I would have had that sale. I would have had this deal. I would have had this. You got to fight that temptation. And for some people, their ego is too big. They don't know how to let go of control. And because they can't let go of control, as I said earlier, it's only one of them, and they can't grow very far because they're doing all that they can because it's only one of them. So again, it's good for scaling. You can hire someone better than you. And like it does help with a lot of other things, but it does cost money. And if you don't have enough busy work, I wouldn't call it busy work, actual work for them to do, a good chance they'll get bored and leave. And you got to train them. And you have to be good at training people. Otherwise, they'll make more mistakes because you're bad leadership. Now, so far, I've done both routes where actually, I wouldn't say both routes. Before I go into the second route, the pros and cons of my experience, let me go into the second thing that you can do. Be more efficient and handle things yourself. Now, when you're more efficient, you can do more with less of your time and effort. But again, there's only one of you and there's only so much time in a day. And if you get more work, you may be limited to that in that degree. It's more work for you, but it's going to cost you a lot less money because, you'll work for free for yourself. It is what it is. Now, depending on the work that you are looking to systematize, outsource, whatever it is, that will kind of dictate how tough it will be and how much more stress you're going to add to yourself. Now, if you know my story, I was a big advocate of actually doing things on my own. because, one of my mentors, he was making a little bit over $500,000 doing this all by himself. Now, depending on your goals, depending on how much capital you have to invest and things of that nature, you may not need to work very hard to make $500,000 in this business. Why? Because, well, if I'm buying property for 60 and I'm selling for like 100, 120, whatever it is, you can see it doesn't take long to get to $600,000 sale. If I'm buying something for 20 or 30 and selling for 70, same situation. That makes sense? So you can do things on your own. However, if you have less capital, doing things yourself will be good to get you going, but it's not going to help you to get to that bigger like business payday, scaling opportunity, whatever it is. So for me personally, I've done both, right? I've done hiring a person and I've tried to be more efficient with my time. And surprise, surprise, I think the best way to go forward is doing both, right? That's not a big surprise. One thing that I will warn you about, when you do hire somebody, you have to be very deliberate with your training, or you can find somebody that another land investor has trained for you and they will start to work with you. I've gone that route where I had somebody who another land investor's trained. They training all types of VAs and things of that nature. And then they will work for your company. You still pay the company that trained them, but they make it easier to actually do the transactions and keep track of their hours and things like that. And if I want to, like, hey, I want this person to be full-time with me, then I can actually like, okay, they don't work for them, they actually work for me. And there's that. Now, when you are doing that, when you are going through a company that does the hiring, that does the training and all that, they handle everything. They will train, they will hire, they will keep track of their hours. You don't have to change your tax status because you're just paying for a service. You're not necessarily paying for an employee. So it makes things easier. But again, when you have them under your own umbrella, under your own roof, now they're your employee, you have more flexibility in how you like to work and how you like to do things. Not that you don't have flexibility now with the current system, but like if you want to really reward that person, give them more responsibility, train them in other areas that maybe that company doesn't train them, it's hard to do that. So things to think about. Now, when you're more efficient with your own time, as I said, you can make your own money, but you're going to have to rely a lot more on different things like software and different tools to kind of help you organize. Now, if you're a software engineer like me, then you can write them, but then that costs a lot of your time because writing software isn't something you can just kind of whip up in a day. I mean, I guess it depends on who you are, but it does take more time, right? And then instead of time to be working on getting deals, you're writing code. And, instead of actually talking to prospects and making sales, you're fixing bugs. So, there's that. But with that said, you can also make sure that you're doing things in a way that is kind of low tech. So instead of trying to make all these fancy softwares or get a lot of, buy it or whatever, you can use a regular notebook. You can use a regular spreadsheet, that's on the computer. There's a lot of things that you can do to be more efficient with your time. So now hiring is one thing, but let me tell you about how you can be more efficient with your time. All right. So real quick, looking at the things that I talked about that took a lot of my time, answering calls, going to the post office, getting cashier's checks, and getting things notarized. A lot of things I couldn't outsource unless I got like a business partner. So I had to notarize the deeds myself, and going to the bank, I had to do myself because it's my bank account. But if you have a you have a partner in your business, they can do that. Now, but when it comes to actually answering the calls or what was the other one? Even going to the post office, hell, you can outsource that. Post office, you can do everything online these days. That wasn't always the case. You can buy your stamps. You can, click what's it called? Click and ship, where you put in the address, so you can print out a label, you put it on a thing, and you send it off. But what's more important is how do you handle all those calls? Well, you have two calls, right? You have the acquisition calls and you have the sales calls. Well, the acquisition calls, I have to be very specific with my ad copy. I have to let people know, hey, if you're not interested in selling to me at the price range I put on this communication device, so in most cases a postcard, do not call me. And then because of that, I got a lot less time taken off of my plate. I got a lot more time taken off my plate because I got less people calling me just to say, okay, well, how much will you give me? And quote unquote getting appraisals for their property, so to speak. For sales, I had to be specific with my ad copy to repel the tire kickers, right? So I made sure that I gave them the information that they wanted, and I was like, these are the terms I'm willing to accept. If you, I'm not doing a term deal, or if you do a term deal, this is a down payment, there's a monthly payment, no exception. When I did that, only the people who are looking for cash sales or willing to do buy in cash was actually calling me. All right. Now, when you are still in that process of actually looking to sell, you got to give people time to warm up. But that doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be my voice. I can just send them the information that they need and then follow up with them later. And guess what? That follow up doesn't have to be me either. I can hire somebody to do that, or have an automated text message to just check in. So as I'm talking to the prospect, I see, okay, they're looking to go view the property. They need to call the county for X, Y, and Z. I can make a note of that, have a text message ready to go, and have it be sent when they said they were going to do it. So if they say, okay, I'm gonna go to the county, I'm gonna call the county tomorrow at noon, I'll have a text message ready to go at like 1 p.m. that next day. Like, hey, what did the county say? Right? Where I'm not doing a follow-up, the computer's doing a follow-up. So my time is free to do whatever I need to do. When I need to say, hey, did you see the property? I can wait a couple of days, excuse me, and check it out and then see if they saw the property, right? Things like that. So a lot of times you're going to be leveraging text and email because you can automate those. So for your emails, for example, you can use MailChimp or GetResponse or SendLane or Active Campaign. There's a bunch of different like email marketing things that you don't have to necessarily use as an email marketer. You can use it to help you just send reminders to people. You can set up different autoresponder sequences for people on different parts of the buyer's journey. So those who are tire, I wouldn't call them tire kickers, who are just kind of interested, not really sure, to those who need to call in with the county and do a little due diligence, to those who are ready to view the property, to those who've seen the property and they need to negotiate, to those who are ready to buy. Those are 5 different stages I like to teach. You can have a buyer sequence or automated sequence in email just for those stages. And that way, as they move through, you're not the one that constantly remind them, hey, did you do the thing? Did you do the thing? Did you do the thing? But they actually are getting reminded and you don't remember. And it's not until they reply back to you that you can engage with them normally as a human, right? That saves a lot about your time. You can do the same with texting as well. Like different software, I believe, don't quote me on this because I don't use this, but some of the people I coach who do HiveMind, I believe you can do something similar with HiveMind as well. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other like CRMs that have texting built in that you can easily just kind of make things happen. Also, understand that how you run your business is a good way to kind of save your time as well. So I just kind of mentioned a couple of things with using tech and things like that to send out different things, but I know the way I want to save my time is I don't get on the phone with people unless they're serious. I don't actually do any property research unless I know it's going to fall within my target like sell range. And then I know that when I do that research, I'm going to be very specific. I know that when I actually talk to a prospect looking to sell, if they're not looking to sell at the price I want, and I find out right away on the phone, there's no point in me to continue the conversation. I also have it in a way where I can look up the details of a particular property pretty quickly. So if I am at the job, or I should say, if I was at the job and something comes up and I'm able to have a little time at my lunch, I can find those details quick. So I'm on the phone and I'm able to negotiate and I know what I'm negotiating on. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but it all depends on how you like to run and structure your business. Now that you get more efficient with your stuff, understanding how follow-up is going to be a key, understanding, where you're going to be, you're going to notice you're going to spend a lot less time and a lot less headache on things. And then when you systematize the way that we kind of discussed a minute ago, you're going to be able to actually keep track of all the details. Now, some of the things I like to use to keep track of the details is how I like to structure the information on each parcel that I'm looking to buy. I make it a long list, but in that list, I make sure to add the details that I truly find important. The size, how much back taxes they may owe, the subdivision, sometimes the GPS coordinates, if I can get those, if I can, the pictures and things like that. So a lot of different details. Now, once you are running things more efficiently, you still may need to hire somebody, and that's cool. So understand this: when you do hire people, when you are making things happen, you have to make it a team environment. Have them buy in to what you're doing. Have them just as excited for land as you are. And if you do that, you're going to have somebody that's going to be with you for the long haul. And as you bring in more people, if that's necessary for different roles and different jobs, now you have two people to kind of help them, help that third person that you're going to bring in to drink the Kool-Aid. Okay, I think I got everything in the time that I need to get it done. So you have any questions about making things more efficient, because I did run through these kind of quick, let me know. But the two main ways, I said there was three, but the two main ways is being more efficient with your time and being more deliberate. And the third, and then hire somebody. Now, one last thing I want to mention. When you don't take care of these details, it's easier to get scammed. What do I mean by that? Because there's so many things that you don't know, and you're assuming that everybody you talk to has your best interest at heart. So in that case, people can say to you anything, and now you're buying something that's a real piece of crap, or you're selling something to way below market value, or you're just agreeing to something that you shouldn't agree to. So the more details you can keep like in front of you in an organized, systemized way, using a different CRM, different spreadsheets, whatever your style is, the easier it is to know and then move in confidence. So for example, if you've done the research properly and then somebody says, hey, I want to sell you my property, you know that it's probably going to be a good property. But if you did this big old pray and spray technique where you're just trying to send out a bunch of mails to all different places, you don't really know what you're getting. That causes anxiety as opposed to a tight and focused and narrow vision campaign. Like, hey, if this person's calling me back, I know what I'm getting and I can negotiate hard on it. And even though I may not have every detail in front of me, I know the price that I'm working with. So yeah, I have people try to scam me all the time thinking they can get away with stuff. I'm like, it doesn't work, because I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm selling. I know what I'm buying. But that is it. Short one today. Hopefully you guys are doing good. I got to run, but if you have any questions, you guys know where to find me. Your boy, Coach Vic. Peace.